Hello everyone, welcome to a new edition of Jefferson College Today, seen every week on JCTV and online at jeffco.edu. I'm your host Roger Barentine, and with that, let's take a look at the latest news and information about Jefferson College with locations in Hillsborough, Arnold, High Ridge, Imperial, and online. As a leader in public service career training, Jefferson College was recently awarded $30,000 to establish an endowed scholarship to train Jefferson County residents in first responder fields of fire science, law enforcement, criminal justice, or EMT paramedic. The funds were awarded to the college in conjunction with a Cypre class action court settlement regarding the massive chlorine leak at the DPC Industries plant near Festus in 2002. Circuit Judge Gary Kramer presented the $30,000 check to Jefferson College President Dr. Raymond Comiskey. The scholarship will be named the Hazmat Responders and Workers of the Jefferson County Chlorine Spill of 2002 Endowed Scholarship. And using the interest generated from the endowment, the college will award 2 scholarships annually beginning in the fall of 2011. As a community college, Jefferson is extremely proud to have trained thousands of local firefighters, police officers, and EMT personnel that protect us every day. And these scholarship funds will enable future generations to continue this noble calling on behalf of our county. Jefferson College, by the way, was one of 12 community entities that were selected to receive funds by the Cypre Committee, consisting of Kevin Roberts, Tim Engelmeyer, and Rick Francis. Additionally, Admissions and Financial Aid Director Julie Frazier secured the funds on behalf of the college by submitting a grant proposal. Well, in preparation for the opening of the new Jefferson College Northwest site in Cedar Hill, the Board of Trustees has recently approved 3 contracts relating to the renovation of the 45,000 square foot facility located at 6471 Cedar Hill Road near Northwest High School. Specifically, Carl Painting was selected as the low bidder for interior painting and touch-ups at $21,500. Hopkins Carpet was the low bidder for classroom and office carpeting at $40,000, and Duraseal was the selected vendor for parking lot repairs and construction at $89,450. Now, it is anticipated that the Cedar Hill facility will be ready for instructional use at some point in mid to late October or early November. And then classes will be migrated from the existing location in High Ridge to Cedar Hill. Additionally, courses and offerings will also be developed for the spring then of 2011. And the Cedar Hill expansion is directly linked to several community meetings held in the fall of 2009 in conjunction with the process of developing a new institutional long-range strategic plan. Well, in personnel matters, the board also took steps to address several instructional vacancies by approving 5 individuals to fill full-time teaching positions. New faculty include Joe Candela in welding, Scott Kazad in business, Richard Marty in Law Enforcement Academy, Earl Neal in EMT paramedic, and Don Williams in industrial electronics maintenance. As well, on the heels of last month's assistant coaching appointments in baseball and softball, the board additionally approved the appointments of Franklin Scott as basketball assistant coach and Aaron Krause as volleyball assistant coach. As well, in order to address several identified needs regarding campus mechanical and electrical issues, the board agreed to contract with the engineering firm of Horner & Schifrin Incorporated for their expertise in the evaluation of existing heating systems, upgrade of air conditioning systems and control, replacement of campus primary and secondary electrical systems, and decentralization of the campus boiler system. Now, as a reminder, the next Board of Trustees meeting will be held on Thursday, September 16th at 6:30 p.m. in the Administration Building on the Hillsborough campus. Well, in other news, United States Congressman Russ Carnahan recently held a back-to-school news conference here at Jefferson College to discuss ways in which federal funding sources, such as the GI Bill, the Health Care and Education Affordability Act, and the College Cost Reduction and Access Act, can be used to help residents pay for college. Here's more of what the congressman had to say.
Number one, we have reduced the rates for the federal college loans. Last year, the interest rate dropped down to 5.6%. It's going to continue to drop down through 2011 until it comes down to 3.4%. That's going to, again, mean better access. It's going to mean at the end of your education time, it's also going to help with the amount of debt and how long it takes to pay it off. So that's number one. Number two, we've also created a loan forgiveness for graduates who enter public service, key public service fields. After 10 consecutive years of public service and loan payments, graduates who become nurses, police officers, firefighters, and nonprofit workers can be forgiven any remaining student loans. So helps those students, but also is a great way for us to promote public service and reward people that are making those kind of commitments. Next, 139,000 Missouri Pell Grant scholars are getting more help affording tuition thanks to increases in the maximum Pell Grant scholarship up to $5,550 this year, and to go up to almost $6,000 by 2017. Next, students who commit to teaching in high-need subject areas, in high-need schools, for 4 years after graduation are eligible for upfront tuition assistance known as TEACH grants. Again, we've got to make those investments in teaching to get some of our best and brightest to make those commitments in areas where they're really needed. It's a great investment for our future generations to get those teachers out there to make that commitment. And then last and certainly not least, post 9/11, the new GI Bill is renewing the promise of the original GI Bill for troops who served our country after September 11, 2001. The bill provides for up to 36 months of a veteran's tuition at an accredited college or university and allows veterans to transfer the tuition benefits to their children. This is something that our veterans have earned, but we know from the original GI Bill, these investments pay back multiple times over in terms of what those veterans give back and continue to give to their communities and their families.
The news conference was highlighted by a group of students, graduates, and parents who spoke briefly about their experiences at Jefferson College and the federal financial assistance they received to help make their dream of a college education a reality. Now, the entire news conference is available on the Jefferson College website, and you can view it by going to www.jeffco.edu and simply clicking on JCTV in the upper right-hand corner. Well, the Jefferson College Athletic Department is forming a basketball league for area junior high boys and girls this fall on Thursday nights in the field house on the Hillsborough campus. The youth league will contain divisions for boys and girls in grades 5 and 6. And league activities will begin in September and then continue through the end of October. The cost is only $30 for each game played, with a total cost for a 5-week league schedule of $150 per team. Now, the program is designed to provide actual game experience for young players that desire to prepare for school ball season. All existing teams are certainly welcome, as well as newly formed teams of those players that live in Jefferson County and neighboring communities wanting to compete in their first basketball league experience. For more information on team registration, be sure to contact Doug Stotler at area code 636-797-3000 or 942-3000, extension 386, or email dstotler@jeffco.edu. Well, the Jefferson College Alumni and Friends Facebook page is a great way to stay connected to classmates in Jefferson College. You can also keep up with the latest news, events, and announcements, or simply find out about volunteer opportunities. Don't have a Facebook account? Well, it's easy. Just go to www.facebook.com to register. It's easy, it's quick, and it's free. And just create a user profile and start staying connected today. Well, finally, to support the mission of Jefferson College, JCTV is always working to provide viewers with educational and informational programming that is unique and exclusive to Jefferson County. If you have suggestions regarding the types of programs you'd like to see here on JCTV, Feel free to contact the station by writing to JCTV, 1000 Viking Drive, Hillsboro, Missouri, 63050, or by emailing jctv@jeffco.edu. Well, that will do it for the news portion of Jefferson College Today. Stay tuned as I visit with Jefferson College Athletic Director Doug Stotler as Jefferson College Today continues right here on JCTV.
It's like going to Harvard in Jefferson County.
Students have the best education possible.
Top-notch education.
Quality education is a 10.
I love the fact that Jefferson College is so close to my home.
It's great. I love it. It works for my schedule.
The housing is incredibly convenient.
Class schedules are very convenient for students.
I'm Stacy Self.
I'm Kimberly Clark.
I'm Nick Schaefer.
I'm Della Selman, and I discovered my future at Jefferson College.
And welcome back to JCTV and the Jefferson College Spotlight here. As today, it certainly is a pleasure for me to have as my guest Jefferson College's new Director of Athletics, Mr. Doug Stotler. Hi, Doug. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Roger. Good to be here.
Well, this is really your first year. You wrapped up your first full year here at Jefferson College. Talk a little bit about, if you will, how really coming to Jefferson was very much a homecoming for you.
Very much a homecoming, and I'm not sure how many people realize that, but in 1986, I was an assistant men's basketball coach. That was when we had men's basketball, and Mike Hayes was the coach at the time. I was right out of college and was searching and praying that I would find a career that I would enjoy, and landed obviously in athletics, but that was the very first job out of college. So I've been a Viking, and now I've returned to become a Viking again.
So you're back home in many respects.
Absolutely, and of course I grew up in the county, grew up in Herculaneum, was a 1980 grad, so I'll let people do the math on that, figure out how old I am. But was a county athlete, played basketball and baseball at Herculaneum High School, and one thing that I'm extremely proud of is got to have an opportunity to play basketball for my father, who was the head coach at Herculaneum. And then, of course, he and I, throughout my education, were trying to figure out what direction I would go for a career, and essentially learned an awful lot about sports and athletics and from him because he was an athletic director and an assistant principal at Herculaneum High School. But really enjoyable now that I'm back home, and he and I can bounce all kinds of experiences off of each other, and you know, we're kind of sharing this experience, so to speak. I wouldn't say he lives vicariously through me, but we certainly enjoy one another a lot more now than we did when I was a kid.
Well, you know, having such deep roots, particularly in the sports community here in Jefferson County, what are some of the things you heard or were hearing when you became interested in coming back to Jefferson as athletic director?
Well, you know, I think the biggest thing that I heard from a lot of different people was, you know, boy, you're replacing people that have very big shoes. Obviously, Joellen Stringer was the AD that has most recently retired, and you know, a terrific coach, and she had a lot of great experiences throughout her coaching career that made her an outstanding athletic director.
Sure.
But then prior to that, you talk about filling the shoes of Harold Edding, you know, and Joellen really learned her craft from Harold. So, you know, just boy, you've got big shoes to fill as you head to Jefferson, and that's absolutely true. You know, a lot of success throughout the entire athletic history of the college, and you know, I certainly want to come in and at least maintain that. You know, can you make one of the great programs of the country better? We hope so, but that's a difficult job because it's already a very, very strong NJCAA program.
And as you mentioned that, Doug, you come in, again, familiar with Jefferson College, familiar with what it means to be a Jefferson College Viking, aware of the shoes in terms of those who've predicated you. From your perspective, really, what is the key in terms of maintaining Jefferson's not just regional, but in some cases national success.
Well, and speaking of that, at times we feel like our national reputation probably exceeds the regional reputation because of all the postseason competition. But I think one thing that you must focus on in athletics administration is making sure that you get good people that know how to recognize good people beyond them. You've got to hire good coaches, coaches that understand their sport, understand the relationship of the sport with the college and the community, the state and the nation. But then they've also got to be able to recognize the type of athletes that will fit into the Jefferson theme. And I think we've got that. I think we've got really good people that understand how to recruit, and they've got a good feel for what Jefferson College is.
As you mentioned, those successes that the college has had in the last several years particularly, and really throughout the history of the institution. Who presently are the coaches, and what are the teams that Jefferson College presently fields?
The NJCAA sponsors an awful lot of sports, and we currently offer 5 of those sports. In the fall, we play soccer and volleyball, and these are broken basically by semesters, but we have a fall semester. There's also a winter season, and basketball begins in the winter season. That's women's basketball, and in the spring we play baseball and softball. Ricardo Garza is the head men's soccer coach. Ida Steiger, formerly Ida Antonovashuti, former All-American at Jefferson, is the head volleyball coach. We've just hired a brand new women's basketball coach, Tanika Bruce, and she's on board and had a terrific recruiting year. Tony Cook, another Herculaneum boy, is our head softball coach, and Sam Carroll is the head baseball coach. And the fall is really the most busy time we have in regard to sport participation. Obviously, we're gangbusters on volleyball and soccer because our seasons, actual seasons, start then. But basketball is in preseason mode, and they are allowed to participate 8 hours per week in training, team building events. So they're really hot and heavy into it as well. But then the NJCAA also allows for a fall season for baseball and softball. And they are each going to play in the neighborhood of about 10 games in the fall season. Super busy. We've just got a lot of people going a lot of different directions.
Yeah, it sounds like the program is literally year-round, as you
is.
described. With that, you talked about your background, not only as you began here at Jefferson as an assistant coach, you come back to Jefferson with athletic director experience and as head coach experience. Talk a little bit about how you think that prepared you to interact in the role that you now have with the coaching staff at Jefferson.
Well, 16 years as a head coach at Lewis and Clark Community College and 3 years as a head coach at St. Louis Community College as a basketball coach really gave me an idea of how to build a program. And I think perhaps one of the things that I bring is an understanding of what a coach has to go through to build a program. But I also understand the difficulties associated with that too, and I think that allows me to forge a relationship with our current coaches because essentially this is a young group of coaches. In volleyball, you're talking about Coach Steiger having 2 years of head coaching experience under her belt. This current season will be Coach Garza's second. Coach Bruce has 2 years of junior college head coaching experience. Sam Carroll has 4 heading into his 5th season, and Tony Cook the same way. So, this is a very young group. And typically what you find in Region 16, which is in JCAA Region 16 and the MCCAC Conference, are a lot of old dogs. People like Celeste Canarum from Merrimack, who had a 30-year career. Bob Nelson from Forest Park, Gene Bess, who's nearing 40 years. So there's a lot of experience as a coach that I was able to draw, even from those people, that I think I can impart to our staff, and hopefully it'll have a benefit for them and help them win a game or two.
With that, obviously you brought a number of new things to Jefferson College here in your first year. Speak just a little bit in terms of the direction you've set and some of the new things that you've begun at Jefferson.
Well, you try to come in and really absorb a lot of the way things are at Jefferson and try to adjust as best you can. And I'm probably not as good at that as the coaches would like for me to be. So, I turned the program upside down when I got here just to find out what was going to stick and what wasn't. And I think what we've done is really review a lot of the policies for admission to the college in regard to athletics. We've looked at a lot of our scheduling issues. We've looked at a lot of our recruiting issues. And I think we've really tightened things up in regard to what I expect. And just like a coaching change would really disrupt a team, me stepping in as athletic director has kind of disrupted this group as well. But they've adjusted quickly and are starting to, I think, grasp where we're headed. But again, I think my ultimate goals really aren't that different than Coach Stringer or Coach Edding. We want to be successful. I think my urging and direction for coaches to win is really balanced by the academic first ideals that are set forth by the institution. And I think as our coaches move forward with me in this position, they do see how important it is to me for our programs to succeed from an on-field standpoint, but they've already been predisposed to the academics first philosophy by the institution. And of course, I believe that has existed since the beginning of Jefferson
since
College.
Day one, really.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk a little bit, Doug, if you will, about what is the difference between what you do each and every day as an athletic director versus what perhaps a team coach does.
Mine is all behind the scenes. My interaction with athletes is pretty limited. I think one thing that we certainly make sure of is our exposure in regard to sports information. The media is such a part of athletics today that you've got to have an updated website. And one of the initiatives of the NJCAA is to have a website there that is going to really be a spot to archive all of the athletes that have participated in the programs. Because you could go back 30 years ago and not find anybody on the NJCAA website today because there's no place for it. So they've really been forward thinking, I think, in that initiative to get that going. And then obviously one of the other things, we want to make sure and make eligibility a focus. Making sure that we recruit the kind of kids that are suited for community college and Jefferson College in particular. And again, making certain that we focus on winning and that academic priority.
As you talk about winning, both in the classroom, on the court, one of the things that we have a very rich tradition at Jefferson College, I think you'll agree, is the number of successful student athletes that have come through Jefferson College. And in recent days, I've had a chance to sit down with you and really talk about how you look at recognizing those individuals. We've done it in perhaps a number of different ways through the years, but talk a little bit about what you're doing in terms of now a unified Hall of Fame for all of Jefferson sports.
And Roger, this one really excites me because I've been able to maintain contact with a lot of Jefferson people, outside of the actual coaches that have performed here. I've got friends that were players here. And currently what we've been dealing with were two independent sport Hall of Fames. We had a Hall of Fame in baseball and also a Hall of Fame in women's basketball. Well, I began thinking about all of the volleyball players, all of the tennis players that I've been familiar with over the years, and I started scratching my head thinking, boy, there's a lot of deserving people of those sport halls of fame. And, got an opportunity to be a part of the Baseball Hall of Fame last winter, and it was a wonderful event. And basically started doing some research that had carried over from a previous commitment that I made to a Hall of Fame at Lewis and Clark. And it just made sense to comprise those two individual sport halls of fame into one comprehensive total athletics Hall of Fame. And I'm really, really pleased and happy to report that this organization of the Jefferson Athletics Hall of Fame is now official. And we're moving forward to creating a spot on the athletics website that will be a spot where people can go and view the bylaws and view the nomination forms that we have. We've got a lot of work to do to get it up and running, and it's currently under construction, but I'm just thrilled that we were able to get this pushed through.
Now, as you talk about those, there were some in basketball, some in other halls of fame. Will you literally be starting from scratch, or will you bring perhaps those folks in and build from there? What are you thinking in terms of how it goes?
It's funny you say scratch. Yeah, we've been scratching our head trying to figure out how we're going to do that, but I think it's a very old process that we plan to be a part of this, and it's called grandfathering. We cannot deny the recognition of these really deserving Hall of Fame
Sure,
people
absolutely.
in these individual sports. You know, again, people like Harold Edding, Dave Oster, you know, those guys are just legendary at this institution, and we don't want to throw them out and make them be renominated and re-voted in. So we will grandfather those existing Hall of Fame members into this comprehensive Hall of Fame. However, we will start from scratch, and we've written it into the bylaws that we can have up to 7 new members in this inaugural comprehensive Hall of Fame. So, you know, hopefully we will catch up with the most deserving Hall of Fame group this first year. And each subsequent year, we will be allowed to add up to 3 more Hall of Fame members. And it's going to really take us a long time, I think, to fully recognize all of the outstanding and remarkable contributions of our athletes. But hopefully we'll be around long enough to get that done.
Now, as you mentioned, I'm sure folks are watching today. Many of them perhaps have recommendations or suggestions. How will that work in terms of where do people go to learn more about it? How will the nomination process work? I'm probably filled with too many questions here, but just tell us a little bit about how that might unfold.
The process began with a steering committee that was formed to basically look at bylaws and a constitution. That steering committee is also charged with appointing a selection committee. And the selection committee will be the group that actually chooses the members of the Hall of Fame. Right now, we are trying to get a few individuals narrowed down for the selection committee. There are some that are very finite, but one particular group we've got to do a little work on, and that would be the former athletes that are members of that selection committee. We want to be as representative as we can with the various sports that Jefferson College offers, but we also want to look at it chronologically and also get an individual from the 1970s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s.
Oh, very good.
So, you know, we don't get too many old guys or too many old gals in there. We want equal representation. But it is, you know, a pretty finite group beyond those 4. And what we're looking to do is receive nominations almost immediately. We will begin accepting nominations on September 1, and the nominations will close on November 1. The interesting thing about that will be there will be, again, another finite group that can actually nominate. So former athletes, former coaches, members of Jefferson College staff can nominate these people. Now, the other thing that I think if somebody from the general public remembers an athlete that is deserving of this award would then take a nomination recommendation to one of those people. For example, somebody from my family remembers a tremendous volleyball player. They could say, you know, what do you think about that person being a member of your Hall of Fame? And then I could nominate them.
I see.
So a form would actually be filled out by either a current or a former member of the athletic department.
Great. Sounds like a lot of excitement ahead. When you look at the fact that it's inaugural, you know, looking in terms of, as we've already mentioned, the fact that Jefferson has such a outstanding, rich tradition in its sports history, to be able to be on the ground floor of something, I'm sure is very exciting for you.
Well, and we hope that excitement will culminate in an event in the spring. We're looking at piggybacking our athletic banquet with the Hall of Fame ceremony. And typically our athletic banquet has been in late April, early May, and we're looking at the dates that will be best suited for our teams and of course best suited for grandfathering in this very special group of the members of the current Hall of Fame, and then also trying to think about inducting the new group. So hopefully in late April, early May, we'll come up with a date that will just have a big party and celebrate all these tremendous accomplishments.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Hopeful.
Well, for a final thought today before we close here in JCTV, as again, it goes without saying that Jefferson College's programs are just amazing in terms of its sports. The students do academically well in the classroom, perennially do well on the court and on the field. How can people who watch this interview today and perhaps want to follow Jefferson College's sports teams, how or where can they go to get more information and keep up with the latest news?
You know, the best way, I think, is probably these modern devices that this old school dog probably doesn't know as much about as he should. But obviously the website, www.jeffco.edu, is a great source. We do have a presence on Facebook. I think we've got a presence on Twitter, although I'm not too good at those last two, but those are really two tremendous sources. And then, I certainly want to make people aware of just coming into the field house and meeting with us if they ever have questions. And then the old-fashioned way is just give us a call on the telephone. We've got phone numbers for each of our coaches, and that's 797-3000 will get you to the switchboard, and then just ask for myself or one of the coaches if people need to catch us.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time, sadly, for this edition of Jefferson College Today, but I really appreciate the visit. Welcome back. Welcome home.
Good to be home.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the visit. Well, there you have it. Jefferson College Athletic Director Doug Stotler. And again, if you'd like more information about the Jefferson College athletic teams here at the college, you can go to the Jefferson College website, as Doug mentioned, www.jeffco.edu. Pick up the phone and give the college a call at 636-797-3000 or 942-3000. As always, you can stop by the Hillsborough campus. And of course, last but not least, check us out on Facebook or Twitter. Well, that will do it for this edition of Jefferson College Today. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time right here on JCTV.